everyone, this is Laura at the Painted Canvas in beautiful downtown Clarksville. Today we are going to do another Chalk Couture project. You know I love the Chalk Couture. So we are going to be working on a wood piece this time, and I'm going to turn my screen back down there and let's get going. I have started this piece so that I can show you layering this time. So if it is on there, pretty good spot, let me scoot that up just a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see it well. So you can see that I have started, I did a little bit of, oh, and this is just a pine, really smooth pine board that I purchased, and then painted it with just a real light gray, and then sanded it really finely. One thing that we discussed back and forth with using the wood is that it probably should be waxed, meaning like with a light coat of Mim wax or some type of wax similar to that. And what that will do is keep your transfer from sticking and pulling off little bits of the wood grain or the paint. So that's something you want to think about doing. And this is a very, like I said, this is a very smooth piece. And as you can see, I already have it started. Let me show you right quick the package that this comes in. So it is the stencil called Love Grows Here. Actually, I'm not sure if that's what it's called. Oh, it is called that. So this is what the whole stencil looks like. And obviously, I've already taken mine apart and have the components cut apart that I want to use. So I started with the base colors just to kind of get a head start. And so if you're new, completely new to Chalk Couture, you're going to simply cut these apart. Just get your scissors, cut you can see where the little lines are, so they let you have those little cut apart pieces, and I've just already done that. And then these pieces simply peel off. They have a nice sticky tacky back. They can be reused about 20 times or more. I've already stuck these two down just to save time, and I'm going to take this little cactus plant, decide where it's going to live. I think I decided it was going to live on this one. So once I've already done this first, you can see my little pots are already done. So I did those so that we could do a layering. So actually, before I put that cactus on, I'm going to go ahead and show you that layer. So this particular stencil has some different parts. You can bring back and do a second layer on top. So for this one, I've already got the gold there. So I'm going to just do a little color on top just to give so basically you're just going to put that on, make sure it's good and dry. It is, it's very, very dry. And then I'm going to just lay this other little stencil cutout piece right on top of it where I want my next color to go. So once I have that on there, it is ready for me to do my second color on there. So I'm also going to lay out my other components while we're talking about it. I want this tall aloe vera looking plant to go in this pot because that's kind of my layout scheme with this. So I'm going to set that to where it just sits right on top of that pot. So this is why you can see now why I did my pots already, so that I could show you the rest of this. So I may want to move that down just a tiny bit. And you can see I kind of bent that and folded it under, but that's usually they can just pull right back off. They are sticky and tacky, which is good, which is what we want, which what makes this process so easy. But I'm going to scoot that down just a little bit so that I know for sure it's not in the air. I want it to be in the pot. So now I'm just going to smooth it out across so there's not air bubbles. Excuse me. And I'm going to do the same thing with this little cactus, because I think this is where I want this little cactus. So I'm going to let a little bit of my yellow show through there so I can see right where I want my cactus to be. And my hands are already yellow today from using the paste, so I've already been playing. So that is where that's going to go, and I'm going to use that one up there in a little bit. And then I like this little lotus looking. I don't think it is a lotus because this is all succulents, but I think I want this one to come out over the top of this vase a little bit, and we'll see how that does and how well that covers. And I'm also going to put it on a little bit of an angle just because that's what I want. So that's what's fun, because you can do what you want. I like doing what I want. I like getting my way, so that always works well. Okay, so I've got different colors. I've used this burnt orange color for this pot, and I used this really rustic looking red and this mustardy yellow already. So hopefully you can see all of those colors. I may have this a little too close to the edge where it's kind of hard to see those colors. So here's my chalk. So I'm going to I think on this one here, I'm going to just give it a pale, this sage green, I think it is. I'm not sure. I'm not really good at remembering these names. It's mint. When I opened up, one of my customers said they put their little sticker inside. So I thought, well, that's a good idea. So when you open up your paste, you're going to see it's pretty thick, and that's a good thing. You want it to be thick. If it gets too thick, you can add a couple drops of water and do this little stir thing again. They've reformulated the paste again here recently, some of it, and I think they're working on most of it. So it's getting to be a better consistency. Sometimes it's really thick when you open it, and I usually put a few drops of water and do a good stir. So we're going to use this mint, and we are simply going to just squeegee over. And again, with the paste, the thing to remember is you can put quite a bit on here because you're going to take a bunch of it off. But the thing to remember is to work quickly. You don't want this paste to dry in your screen, because then it will lift back up off of your wood or whatever you're putting it on, your chalkboard, anything, because it's going to otherwise, and that way, and then it stays in your screen. So you don't want it to do that. So I like to just dab on a bunch and then get a little bit bigger squeegee. I use a couple different sizes depending on how big, and I just squeegee, and you can tell a lot of that's coming back off. So the paste really goes a long ways. And so I'm going to try to make sure I get all those little edges. And you don't want this to be thick. You want it to be nice and smooth and have a good smooth consistency where you can see most of your screen back there again. And then you're just going to simply peel that back off again before it dries. You don't want to let it dry because you want your paste to stick onto your wood or whatever you're using it on chalkboard. So I'm going to just pull this up, and you can tell it really sticks because it couldn't almost hang on to it. And so then I'm just going to put that over into my water. That color's a little bit soft on here, so I may have to do a little more layering to bring out a little bit darker color, but I kind of like the soft colors. So it's up to you on what colors you use like that. So we're going to just clean our squeegee back off and kind of push this paste back down in there. This gives me a good time to show you to put your paste, push it back down in there and kind of keep this rim clean so that your paste doesn't dry out as easily. But you can tell we didn't use very much at all. And I'm going to kind of wipe this off a little bit, put my lid back on it so it will stay on there tighter, and put the little cap back on so that my chalk doesn't dry out. And that is quick and easy on that one. I think I'm going to use a little bit of this cream color on this little flower. Now this looks like it's kind of dry, So we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see if I stir this really good, if it's gonna, so some of my edge, I didn't put it down in there. I had this stored maybe upside down. So I'm gonna just stir that a little bit, and I think my consistency will be fine. So again, I'm gonna just squeegee that on. And this one is gonna layer over that orange just a little bit, only because that's what I wanted. And I think at the same time, I might try and decide what color I want over that. I'm gonna have to decide quickly if I'm gonna use this because I've already got it out. So let me go ahead and clean this one off so that this flower, or a little succulent, can be pulled back off of there. So the stencil can be pulled back off. So you want to take care of your stencils, but basically they're not hard to take care of. So just pulling them off of there before they dry. And then I put it into some water over here that I've got on the side, so that, now you can see that one, a little bit of the pot showed through. You can leave it like that. You can let it dry and put a little bit more. You want to be careful about layering too much. I'm going to go ahead and push this chalk down into there a little bit so it's not dry the next time I want to use it. And if I need to, I could add a few drops of water. You want to be careful so it's not too thick and that it doesn't flake off of there. Oops, I didn't get that lid. So if you take care of your product, it really goes a long ways. It really can do a lot of projects with them. So that was our, can't remember what color that was. I call it an off-white. It's kind of like an oatmeal color. So you can tell I worry about the colors. You can look on the chalk, on my chalk website is paintedcanvas.chalkcouture.com. And if you look on there, it will give you all these colors and not just these names that I give them. So if you want like really specific names, you can go on there and find those. So this is the green, the darker green, kind of a foresty green. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of that out. We're gonna do our cactus on the end here in this little bit of a darker green. See how this works out, because I think it ought to be a little darker. Now there's one more component, like on this one down here, the first one that I did. So for that one, when it's dry, I could actually add another little layer of green to it so that it stands out a little more, which is kind of like a shadow on it possibly, or just another little more detail. So this green just a little while ago was really hardened in here, so I added some water to it, started really good with a brush that I had handy, and so it's kind of fixed itself. So again, I'm going to wipe this rim off a little bit. I'm going to put this lid back on, the little plastic lid that comes with it. You can see a little bit of the dried chalk paste there. Put the lid back on really well, and those kind of just brush. Oh, about forgot to take this off. You may get to see what happens if you let it dry on your stencil. Oh, no, it didn't dry. That's good, because you almost got to see what it looks like if it dries in your stencil, which means it doesn't stick to what you want it to stick to. So, let's see. I think I'm going to add a little bit of this, bring a little bit of this rusty color into this last clay pot down here, just to give it a little bit of color. If I can get my lid back off, I may have secured it too tightly. So I'm going to add a little bit of this to, we're going to layer it over this one down here. So my gold is already on there, and I'm going to add just a little bit of this rustic color just to give it a little swirl there on the side, just like I said on the, like on the one cactus I'm going to add a little bit to, or the aloe vera looking plant, succulent. I'm going to just give it, well, it just adds a little detail. So you don't want it to be thick though. Again, squeegee it on, wipe the majority of it back off, and get back into your jar. Wipe your lid and then put the little plastic, always put the little plastic top back on your lid, and your paste will last a long time. So, got a little dried paste on there, so I'm going to push that off for a second. Get it out of our way. I need to get this one off of there before it dries. I'm determined to make one of these dry and let you see the wrong way to do it. So I could have brought that down just a little bit further and put it right where it made that swirl, cover that. It's probably what I intended to do, but since it didn't do that, we have a couple of colors showing, so that's okay. I'm pretty good with going with whatever works on it. So we have our succulents pretty much done, or at least the majority of it done and drying. So now I'm going to go back up here and do our Love Grows here. And since I've kind of stayed pretty light on all these, I think I'm going to stick with white on there. You might want to do black. You might want to do brown. I do have the lovely brown, but I kind of stayed pretty pale on these, so I'm going to kind of just stick with that, I think. So I'm going to open my white up, give it a little bit of a stir. Different size squeegees again are good for different things. I really like those little ones cut apart. Right now I know the little ones are out of stock at Chalk Couture, but you can pull out a pretty good clump, lay it on there really quick. I'm doing this one first because I overlapped it and it's on top, so I want to do, I'm going to pull a bunch of that back in there because I don't need all of that. I just need a bunch so that I can work quickly. And I think this white was probably a new formula because it is a little smoother. It goes on a little easier, almost kind of like the ink. So again, we're going to wipe it back off until you can kind of see your stencil come through. That way, that's what I do anyway. That way I know I don't have too much on there, because too much it'll flake off. So again, I'm going to just pull that up and see how pretty our lettering is. So I need to get a hold of my stencil with both fingers here and pull it off so that it, ooh, that one really stuck. So sometimes on wood, like I was saying, you want to wax your board where it doesn't stick quite so much. That one did pull a little bit. You can see a little bit of my paint stuck on my stencil, so I want to be more careful about that in the future and make sure I have those waxed. So, ooh, I do like the white. That looks nice. And so we're going to continue with that white, and we're going to do the love part right quick. So, squeegeeing that color on really fast. Just putting a big bunch helps you to put it on there quickly. The first time I did it, I put just a little dab here and a little dab there, and it dried in my stencil. It doesn't ruin your stencil, doesn't hurt your stencil, washes out because it is chalk and it is just a chalk paste, but you don't want it to not stick to your product. It kind of defeats it. Sometimes it just makes it look a little vintage, and I go with that, but most of the time I like it to not stick on there, so I try to get it, put a whole bunch on there really fast, and then come back and peel that label. Ooh, and look what I just did. I just got chalk on there. Let's see if we can wipe that off really quick. I had it on my fingers, and so we'll get to see how much we can fix this. So there we go. It was okay. So I need to get that off my fingers. So apparently, if you saw my video the other day, you know it can be very messy. So pull that off. Into the water it goes. Into the water with my hands to get some paste off. So far, looking pretty good. Let's shake some of the dust off there. So when I open jars, I get different little pieces on there. So we have, I think this one has had a chance to dry while we're working. So we can peel off the second layer, kind of like we did over here with the other. We can layer it. I haven't layered this one yet, so I'm not really sure how it goes, but we're gonna see how it matches up. It looks like it matches up to those little ridges. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna match up those little ridges and press it down. And this time we're gonna use a little bit of my dark green again and see if that's what we need to bring out some color on that one. Let's wipe some of this red off of this little squeegee and rinse it off a little bit. And these little squeegees are so easy to use. And like I say, this is one cut in half, so this is a half of a squeegee from the company. So we're going to put a little green Chalk Couture paste on here and squeegee it on real quick and back off. And when you're layering, you can layer as much as you want. You may not, if you don't want the whole design, you don't have to do the whole design. Totally up to you. I'm going to layer this whole design so that I can see, since I haven't used this one before, I want to see what it looks like all layered. I'm trying to get right up in those. There's a little bitty tip up there. This little squeegee is very flexible, so sometimes it's handy to grab this big one again, and you can kind of come across there a little bit quicker. So that's why I switch around with these. And again, put your extra paste back in there, and I'm going to pull this one back off and into the water it goes. And again, kind of try to pull them evenly so that your stencils do not stretch. Ooh, I do like that. Just added a little more color to it. Brought out some of that pale green. So that looks kind of neat. So, the other thing I was thinking about, one more flower up there, but it's perfectly good the way it is. So I'm going to, sometimes I stop and just think about it. So I think I'm going to think about this one and decide if I want one more flower in that corner. So I'm going to put our green paste back up right quick. I'm going to put my squeegee in there, wipe off the top of my green paste, put this lid container back on there tightly, and we're going to call this one done for now. I may add that flower. I'm going to think about it and see. But this is the Love Grows Here stencil, and it's one I have available here at the Painted Canvas or on my website at paintedcanvas.chalkcouture.com. And feel free to, there's a link there, you can contact me on that, or you can contact me with any questions anytime at paintedcanvasfun@gmail.com. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great afternoon.